Hey everyone. As promised, I took the Midjourney V8 Alpha for a spin around all kinds of different styles, expressed only in words. Midjourney V8 Alpha is the newest controversial model from Midjourney, and my opinions probably match the overall sentiment. It is not very good. But I tried anyway, to see what happens if you try to break it from its usual mold of photorealism. The premise for this particular experiment was to give Midjourney V8 Alpha some really long prompts that would have more visually descriptive words in it, and that they would describe a particular, unique aesthetic that would not be photorealism. The idea behind it was to see what the artistic side of the default model would be. I didn't bother using seeds this time around, so there will be no seed numbers in the prompt. Also, I forgot and noticed when I had already prompted all the images. Sorry about that to anyone who wanted to replicate my results exactly. But I did discover something new I wasn't aware of yet, or maybe just didn't notice. That is the lack of the -no parameter. In the past, I was able to fix some of the issues with poor framing and other things I disliked with the -no and specifying all the things I would like to avoid. But it doesn't work with V8 Alpha, and that is a huge problem for me. As you will see yourself, if you stray away from the photorealism, most likely you will see some very bad frames and staging compositions. You ask for a painting with a subject, such and such, looking like this and that, and you will get an image out that looks like a photo of a painting or a drawing, and a part of the table alongside with it. You probably will need some very clever prompting to get around it, if it even works. This time I only used Gemini for the prompt writing assistance, as I needed some very long prompts. But I ended up not being too happy about what it recommended. It kept recommending the same subject matter, same styles. It really liked Soviet themes, and despite detailed instructions, it veered off from the task. My initial result was that it began okay with long prompts, and I could see that towards the end of my list it went and reduced the words until it got down to the length of my usual prompts. But let's look at the ones that did stand out to me, and what we ended up getting. If you would like to see all of my experimentation results, I have them over on my Patreon, available for the members in a prompt PDF format. A 1940s travel poster of a brutalist concrete building in muted pastels and flat vector shapes. Promising composition, but the colours came out too muted. A Bauhaus skyscraper, broken into primary coloured geometric forms on cream. Loved the colours, though the paper texture felt a bit off. A vintage botanical etching of a carnivorous plant on aged parchment with sepia cross-hatching. A total winner, and the gibberish text almost adds to the charm. A street art stencil of a fashion model in an ivory coat on a raw concrete wall. Unique concept, almost photoreal, but painted onto pavement with real cracks. A blueprint of a Gothic cathedral in white lines on deep blue cyanotype paper. Lovely effect, ruined slightly by frames and some gibberish text. A lino-cut print of a deep-sea jellyfish in bold white gouges on black. Would have been amazing, but the edges and borders get in the way. A needle-felted wool snowy owl with glass bead eyes on craft felt. Very cute, but leaning too photorealistic due to the material focus. A fashion editorial of a dress made from shattered mirror shards with clinical, high-fashion lighting. Photorealistic again, but the fashion concepts were genuinely striking. A brutalist concrete library interior with a single skylight beam and geometric shadows. Midjourney ignored the concrete and went full wood grain instead. A cyanotype solar print of ocean seaweed with ghost white silhouettes on Prussian blue. Gorgeous colours and detail, but the photo of a print framing kills it. An alcohol ink and gold leaf nebula with translucent purples flowing into crinkled metallic veins. Lovely and detailed, but this is just Midjourney doing what it does best: photorealism. A retro-futurist airbrush painting of a chrome spaceship with a warped desert reflection. One of the best results yet. Just one slightly crooked edge holding it back. A scientific illustration of butterfly wing scales in shifting emerald and purple. Technically a macro shot, but the colours were too good not to include. A macro view of honeycomb, with slow dripping amber honey and trapped air bubbles. Same deal, macro photography, but executed beautifully. A Fauvist vineyard with magenta soil and orange sky in aggressive, unblended strokes. A rare one where the full frame is filled with intense, immersive colour. A 1960s pop art stencil portrait with Ben-Day dots and a flat, saturated orange background. Some edge artifacts and strange colours, but still one of the better ones. An airbrushed surrealist painting in 70s vinyl cover style with impossibly smooth, candy-coated gradients. A little too photorealistic. Feels more like scanned magazine pages. A vorticist railway station with jagged geometric lines and figures abstracted into industrial shards. Slightly Soviet in feeling. One frame issue, but otherwise solid. A rayonist crystal cave built from intersecting needle-like beams of metallic silver and electric blue. Cool texture play and shadow work, though one image is still fighting with a frame. A mid-century modern atom diagram with atomic age starbursts, aqua and coral, and slight offset print errors. Great posters overall, though some accidental text crept in thanks to Gemini. An Art Deco ocean liner travel poster in black and gold with long stylized rays of light. Lovely results, though one image again had edge artifacts. A mixed media collage of yellowed 1920s postcards with colourful yarn stitched through the paper. Interesting texture, but borrowing a little too much from photorealistic strengths. A sanguine and sepia chalk, old master figure study on dusty terracotta-toned paper. A strange beauty, extremely drawn, but with the fidelity of a photograph. A paper cutout, flat-lay breakfast scene, where every object is cut from textured construction paper. Love this one. The layered shadows on the cups, plates and egg are genuinely intriguing. A dry-point engraving portrait with velvety, fuzzy black lines and soft, blurred edges on archival paper. Very photorealistic, despite being meant as a sketch, and the edges appeared again. A 1960s psychedelic concert poster with melting liquid lines and fluorescent clashing colours. Strange, weird, and wonderfully flowy, though Gemini's text editions caused some havoc. An Orphism sunrise rendered as a 1970s lenticular print with ribbed plastic and shifting colours. A genuinely cool lenticular sunset effect. A Swiss-style minimalist poster with a single massive letter as a mountain on a flat matte red. Grungy and intense with that strong red, though one image had a thick, noticeable border. A paper quilling mandala made from thousands of tightly curled, edge-on paper strips in rainbow colours. Lovely and intricate, but it reads more like a photograph of the thing. A futurist speeding motorcycle broken into overlapping force lines and fractured geometric planes. Nice speed effect on a few frames, though the style varies wildly within one grid. A second vorticist railway station with strictly limited industrial palette and coarse matte canvas. A bit Soviet again, but came out quite well overall. A 1970s blacklight poster of a psychedelic tiger in fluorescent neon on deep black felt. Looks amazing. The text is unfortunate, but the neon colours are something else entirely. A low-poly 3D forest clearing where every surface is flat, triangular facets, like an early 90s game. Some genuinely nice low-poly environments in here. A sand-cast glass bird in thick, translucent amber with bubbles trapped inside the rough surface. Photorealistic, but the amber glow of the glass was worth it. Isometric pixel art of a high-tech laboratory on a strict grid with a 16-colour palette and dithered metals. Clean, isometric computer graphics. Does exactly what it sets out to do. A Soviet-era mosaic mural of a space launch in chunky glass and ceramic tiles with thick grey grout. Gemini keeps suggesting Soviet imagery, but the mosaic style and relief effect landed well. A glitch art corruption of an architectural diagram with pixel sorting and chromatic aberration. The glitch effect worked great, and finally no border artifacts. An intaglio copper etching portrait with acid-bitten hairline cross-hatching and raised ink on damp-pressed paper. Midjourney pushed full photorealism even here, where it really shouldn't. A woven wicker illustration of a house made from interlaced light and dark wood strips. A very interesting woven wicker result. An airbrushed 1980s van art piece with neon lightning bolts and chrome reflections on a dark, starry nebula. Good colours, some weak compositions, but refreshingly no border edges this time. A Mesoamerican codex illustration of a mangrove forest in flat Mayan symbolic style on bark paper. Really liked this style, but heavy frames on most images in the grid. A Bauhaus illustration of a cat reduced to a circle head and triangle body in primary colours only. Cool colours. And I had to invent something new since Gemini kept defaulting to penguins. A sand animation of a brutalist person made from dark grey sand on a backlit glass surface. Was meant to be a brutalist building, but swapping in a person made it far more interesting. A quilted fabric swan stitched from patterned fabric scraps with corduroy feathers and white lace background. Was meant to be sourdough bread, but a swan fits this effect so much better. A mezzotint print of a woman in a storm with velvety deep black and misty smooth highlights. Midjourney wants everything to be a photo, but the added effect gives it some character. A fauvist mangrove forest with purple roots and a yellow sky in thick, unblended, aggressive strokes. Actually quite stunning. Very unique colours and no edge artifacts at all. Isometric voxel art of a bakery with sourdough loaves built from 3D cubes and baked angular lighting. A lovely effect, though the original subject got swapped out for something better. A trompe-l'oeil brutalist tiger mural painted flat on brick with the wall texture showing through. Interesting result, but the angled perspective on the photo bothers me. A Celtic knotwork gingerbread man formed by a single interlocking line with gold and red fills on aged vellum. Cool effect, though the edges crept back in. A Russian constructivist photo montage of a fashion model with grainy black and white cutouts and bold diagonal type. Soviet-themed again somehow, but I liked how it turned out and had to swap the subject once more. So, in conclusion, even if we specify a lot of visual words and describe the outcome, the results are not that great if you are looking for something else other than photorealism. Midjourney V8 Alpha wants to either give you a photo of a painting or drawing or a sculpture, or it wants to make any drawing hyper-photorealistic, even if it's not supposed to be like that. So the aesthetic sense seems to be strongly towards photorealism, and the artistic soul of Midjourney seems to be gone in this version. And I'm definitely not happy about that. But I do like to experiment and show you the truth of it. I do know that many of you are also becoming more and more disappointed with Midjourney. I don't like catastrophizing too much, but I do still hope that this will be fixed and the beta version is better than what we got with alpha. Let me know if you want me to go exploring some other image models while we wait for Midjourney to get its stuff together and give us something useful. Anyway, I thank you so much for listening my rant, watching my subpar results, and watching this video. Let's continue prompting.